Morning. I'm late,
Morning.
and then I got to leave early.
PT appointment to get you all straightened up.
I already did that. As this morning, I had my PT. I tore a rotator cuff at one of those shoots, I think. And getting old, man. It's like, son of a bitch.
It's always something.
Yeah, I woke up after it was LeGrand. It was a LeGrand shoot I went to, and like that next morning, I woke up and I was like, my arm was sore, and I thought it was just muscle because during those shoots you gotta have all your gear stowed. So, I have it like a tripod and a sandbag, like a rear support bag. Your magazines, you got like little holsters for your magazines because your magazines can't be in the gun on most of these NRL shoots or whatever. And so you come in and you don't know where the stage is. So you got to pretty much come with everything on your pack. You got your gun in your hand. You walk into this things and you have these sighting pins. So it's like, hey, here's where you can see the targets from. And then you got to try and find the targets. So you're glassing and trying to find them. And then you got to figure out the range. So you range them. And then you figure out, what your dope settings or your scope settings are, be like, okay, if you, there may be like two targets. So you got two different positions. So you got to shoot it, both targets from this position. And then you move over here to this position. You got to shoot them from this position. You got 4 minutes to do all this. So basically when they say go, you don't know where the targets are. You don't know anything about them. You got 4 minutes. You run in there. You're scanning like a madman, trying to figure out,
Trying to pick them up.
Yeah, and some of them are hard. Like it's like, okay, you got, 2 rams on this hillside. You got to shoot them near to far. And so you're like, okay, you're scrolling. You find one, and you're like, is that number 1 or number 2? It's like, okay, that's got to be number 2. Okay, it's 800 yards away. So you're right on your arm, the dope, and then you're trying to find the first one because you can't shoot that one unless you find the first one, unless you tell them to skip it. Anyways, there's all these rules. But the big thing about it is and the Grand Hunt was just a brutal son of a bitch. Like it was a mile something hike into to the event or wherever we were doing our shooting, the ridge, because you're shooting from basically a ridge, and then you got 18 stages. So, you go here and then you got to hike up the ridge, 100 and something yards, and then, pack everything back up, hike up there, reload your magazines, get all ready, do it all again. And it's just over and over and over again. And this, most of them aren't that bad, but LeGrand was just, it was kind of miserable. It was, I got some exercise. So when I came back after that, my shoulder was hurting, and I thought, my first thought was I was just sore. I was like, dude, I haven't exercised in a while. You know what I mean? Fat boy up on a mountain. I was like, dude, I got my ass kicked. And then by Tuesday, I could not raise my arm. Like if you tried to raise your arm out, it was noticeably like my mind would tell it to move, but the body was like, hell no, we can't do that.
Hit that catch point or whatever in it.
Yeah. It would come out, I'd come up a little bit about halfway, and over that I could do it, but my body would only do it very, very slow. And it was
sure.
It was like your mind was telling it, like my right side, I could throw up and, do the chicken dance or whatever you want to do, you know, but on my left side, it was like a quarter speed. You know what I mean? If I want to do the chicken dance, I'd be like, dut, 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 I'd be like, oh, and, anyways, I was looking at Dr. Grok, you know what I mean? I moved from Dr. Google to Dr. Grok now.
Yeah.
I use either Dr. Chat GPT or Dr. Grok now. And pretty much I, got myself diagnosed. Holy cow, I got a puppy at my... she has a vet appointment at 5:30. She just jumped in my lap. Sorry, she's not barking. Hey, settle the freak down, puppy. Okay. So I kind of figured out and diagnosed as like a torn rotator cuff. And I was like, crap. And they say those things can take like 2 to 4 months, like 3 to 4 months to heal.
Or maybe never.
I don't want to hear that, Ross.
It could be a lingering Could be a lingering thing too, but
Yeah, yeah, and so anyways, I went to the doctor, and, of course, they want me to go to PT, and, where that was my appointment this morning, so, I was a little late coming in.
yeah,
But
you'll have that.
it seems to be good, though, like, I started doing those peptides, like that BPC-157. I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying whatever."
My back is bad, and I'm gonna hop on the peptide train too and see if actually right now it's about as good as it's ever been, but sometimes I'm or as good as it's been in a number of years, but sometimes I'm just putting a sock away on from being miserable. So
Yeah.
I'm
I
uh I'm willing to try anything.
I was I've messed with them a little bit before, like in my neck and my back. This is the first time I can say that I feel like it's working. Like, Monday and Tuesday after that shoot, or Tuesday and Wednesday after that shoot, I was like, "Oh, crap." Like, I can't do much of anything. Like, I was honestly worried about working, you know what I mean? Like, I
Mm,
they say you don't wanna put your hand in a sling, but that's where I was comfortable. That's where it didn't hurt, and so I was like, I didn't sling it, but I was like, "Dude, that's the only place, like, I could sleep." I had to have my hand right up against my chest, you know what I mean? Like, almost like
yeah.
in a sling to sleep. Um, and so I jumped on the peptides, Monday or Tuesday right afterwards. I was like, "Hey, this is probably what this stuff is for." Um, at least everything that I've read and researched, not I'm no expert by any means, but, um, and I can say it feels like I'm recovering faster or better than I expected, you know what I mean? It's hard to tell. I can't
Yeah.
I really I'm like, when
You don't
people
know how
ask
you
me.
would have recovered without them, but
Exactly. I'm
it
like, maybe I would've been just fine.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, that peptide thing, you get on there and start Googling, and there's some scammy shit out there.
It's
Even
scary.
the even the stuff I bought, shit, it took over 2 weeks for it to show up, and then I came yesterday, and the wife was asking me about it last night, and she wanted to Google and look into
Don't
it a
Google
little
it.
bit, and, it's gone. Like, I couldn't even go order them again right now, and the first thing that popped up in her search history was a Better Business Bureau thing about them, about that place. She's like, "I don't maybe you shouldn't be taking these." Like,
Probably not, but I'm like, "Whatever, dude." I
well, I mean, yeah, it ain't
Peptide
gonna kill
Science
me.
went away, which is, where we get some, so they closed down. So I ended up buying, like, a couple extras because 'cause I'm like, "Yeah, this it's gonna be like this ivermectin thing." I'm sure it's, like, something
Yeah.
gonna go, yeah, I don't know. So I bought enough to last a little bit, but, I don't know, like, you feel like you're on the edge, I'll tell you what. So I'm like, "Okay, we're pushing the limits, right, on this one," especially because 'cause I'm doing the inject, what I mean, like, doing it through the shots. So, like, it's intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I got some buddies that are looking at
Eh,
me, they're pretty, you know,
it is
they
for me. That's why I tried the pills, but I've also heard that you don't have as good of results with pills, so
yeah, I've heard it's good for gut health, the pills are good for gut
yeah.
health, but
Yeah, because that's where it goes straight to. Yep.
subcutaneously is better for, like, muscles and tendons, so um, normally, I would just give me a shot in my fatty stomach, right? And but for this, I've actually been trying to get even closer, so I'll just give
Target
me a
it.
shot in my arm, get it closer, and I can tell you I've backed off them a little bit, the last week because I was going pretty aggressive for the first 2 weeks, I think, and, I've backed off, and I'm starting to feel everything coming back right now, so I'm like, "Man, I'm in this," when I was talking to my PT guy or whatever, he was like, "Yeah, it goes ups and downs." So it's like,
Mhm.
maybe I'm just in a cycle that, it's just a little more sore than normal and whatever. I used it, and we're pulling out an engine, you know, this weekend. My boy blew up another engine. Uh, that boy's blowing up more engines than and as most people in a lifetime. It's so anyways, we got to pull the TDI out of his truck. I don't know if I told you he's doing a TDI swap in his Ranger.
Yeah, you did. Sent me a video of it too. I
Oh
was like, that
yeah,
that ranger doesn't sound like any of the rangers I grew up with.
yeah. So we had it in there. It was working good, and don't know exactly what happened, but anyways, I'm like getting sidetracked like a chipmunk right now. But he ended up cracking the block because he got it too hot. I think he was looking at the thermostat and it was saying 60, and he was trying to warm it up, and I don't think he quite uh, I don't think he quite mentalized that 60 was an error that it was reading. So it's probably like
Oh,
a pocket error, or it was the fluid have already, there was no coolant in it or something, so he was seeing 60 and thinking he had to warm it up. So he's like, I'll take it for a quick drive. And he got down the road,
boom.
steam started coming out. And so he got back and cracked right there on the block. And so anyways, so we pulled that out this weekend, and that may have hurt. That I'm was talking with, anyways. Long story short, wrapping back around, that might be the reason why I'm hurting, is because that was not easy to.
Probably didn't help.
It didn't help
That'd have been
jerking on
all.
that damn thing, trying to get it dismounted from the transmission. Um, but I want to jump back on the peptide, kick up my peptide dose again a little more. I'm curious to see how
Well, just
yours does.
just be careful when you go to buy some. Geez, Louise, when I first started looking for it, I'm like, yeah, I just like red flags on everything I clicked on. Like, this don't seem legit. And I thought I bought from the most legit one I could find. It turns out that was
It's gone.
that's gone already too.
I go buy heroin in Portland probably for free. It's legal in Portland for drugs, but no, I can't get a peptide.
No, nope.
Yeah. Nope, exactly.
Like you
I don't
said,
know.
just like Ivamac, can't have that shit. It
No.
works. So,
No.
and it's
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll see. Like I said, I'm going there, but yeah. I'm curious to see how you it's kind of like a I don't even care anymore. I'm like, yeah, whatever. At first you're a little bit like, I don't know. I'm on some sketchy waters here. They're gonna come
Yeah,
arrest me for drugs or some stupid shit. Now I'm like, I don't give a shit. Whatever. If it
yeah.
if it helps,
That's
I'm all about it.
that's pretty much where I'm at too. I don't give a shit either.
Because I don't really take like a ton of Advil or Tylenol or ibuprofen very often. Once in a while I will when it really hurts, but it's like I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to, keep my body moving, and I want to be hunting for a while.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. Shit, the way my back is sometimes, it's like, what's it going to be like in 20 years
Yeah. Yeah.
or 30 years?
I know. I got this weekend, I don't have anything, but I'm gonna do one more of them shoots. I did a shoot last weekend, and I was really nervous about that. So it was like the week after I hurt, and I was like, dude, I like Tuesday, Wednesday, I was like, I might have to cancel. I told my buddy
Mhm.
James that I was shooting with, I said, I may show up because I was picking up some beef that we ordered, so I had to go. And so I was like, hey, I may show up, but I might not shoot, if I can't throw, because it's a heavy gun. It's like a 16-pound gun or even heavier for
Yeah,
that
that's a big,
that one.
yeah.
I was like, if I can't throw that gun around, I'm not gonna just keep hurting myself, because I'm gonna go with him to a shoot in Montana, not this weekend, but next weekend or whatever. When this podcast, it might be that the weekend of the podcast going. I can't tell. I don't know when this will release, but I it was fine. You know what I mean? Like the muscles that it uses are weird muscles. It's like a external rotation muscle that I don't use very often, but man, we'll see. Um, if I can get through these shoots, get this done, and then I just want to be better for hunting season. That's my biggest
Yep.
reason for doing PT. Is like, hey, if it really is going
Let's
to
get
take me
on this
4
note.
months,
Yeah.
yeah, if this is going to take 4 months, then I better start working on this now. So, yeah. Anyways,
Better an arm than a leg, though, I guess.
yeah, yeah, and it's my left side, so it's not my dominant side, so that's kind of nice. Oh, we had a couple topics we were going to touch on. I don't know, and we may have to. So I got a vet appointment for this puppy. It finally went to sleep here. We're gonna have to cut out here in like 20 minutes. So either we'll have to finish this podcast later or this will be a short podcast, but um, let's get on to the subjects.
Yeah, so we had talked about I had put up I had shared an article on Facebook here the other day.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
youth.
yeah, about minimum youth hunting and minimum ages, and I had some people that kind of jumped up my ass for that. um, my comment was pretty much I would typically am not in agreement with the government telling us like when our kids are
So
able
explain
to
the
hunt,
article
but
because there was an article that started. So let's start with that article
yeah,
because
yeah. So what I did is I shared an article because a few weekends ago, we had a youth turkey hunt here in Wisconsin where, and again in Wisconsin, there is absolutely no minimum age for hunting. So if you want to buy your 1-year-old kid a hunting license, you can do it. Now they have to be mentored up until they've completed hunter safety. And I don't really think there's a minimum age to complete hunter safety in Wisconsin, but it says explicitly that the kid should be near 12 years of age and so they can comprehend the material.
now do they have
So
a so like I was checking into Montana on this because I have some um nephews over there that were asking about hunting, and I was like, hey, let me see what I can figure out so I can like mentor them as I understand it. And I'm not an expert at this, so Montanans, if I'm wrong, don't beat me up. But when I checked with Fish and Game over there, they were like, I could sponsor them as a mentor, but only 1 or 2 years. I think they had to be 10. They had to be a certain age, you know what I mean? I
yep.
think, and I could only do it for 2 years before they had to get their hunter's license, right, or hunter education, right before that.
Yeah,
So
that's not
in
the case in
Washington,
Wisconsin.
really,
You
they
can
don't limit it. You could
no, you can
sponsor them from
mentor
age 1?
up till 16, I believe.
Really?
Up until they're 16, you can mentor them.
Yeah.
So so what happened in this the case in the article, there was a 3-year-old and his mentor, I think it was his dad, were hunting together, and they ended up shooting a 9-year-old and their dad that was hunting together. I think it was one shot that hit both of them. I don't know the
Wow.
exact I don't know the exact circumstances of, if the kid and the dad were reaping. I don't know if you know what reaping is, but there's been a lot of controversy revolving that tactic with turkey hunting. It's
What is that?
you walk, you got a tail fan. Basically, you look like a tom,
Right.
um, because you can sneak up on. Toms are dominant. So the tom sees another tom coming in trying to take his hens and will either stand his ground or in some cases will even charge him. So there's been several cases around the country where people have gotten shot acting like, purposely acting like toms, um,
Right.
like male turkeys. So I don't know the exact specifics of it, but it was a 12 gauge that was used with turkey loads. Well, obviously, for anyone that's ever shot a 12 gauge with turkey loads, I mean it packs a pretty good wallop. Like
It thumps.
they're yeah, they're not fun for you or I just to like if you want to go out and shoot at paper or something, you're not going to want to shoot a 12 gauge with turkey loads. I mean it thumps pretty hard. In fact,
Yeah.
my my 12-year-old daughter just I don't know, a few weeks ago I got her a 20 gauge for Christmas and she wanted to shoot that gun and all I could find were pheasant loads, which
Yeah.
pack a pretty good wallop too, but not nothing like a turkey load. And she even shot that and was like, "Whoa!" I mean, and she's 12, so
Yeah.
um, you know, a 3-year-old kid hunting with a 12 gauge, that's ridiculous.
It's
So,
not helpful.
um,
Like yeah, like that's just gonna build a bunch of bad habits, number 1.
I mean, I don't even think the kid can
Yeah. They
physically even pull the trigger. I mean,
they pull the trigger, but they don't do it
well,
once. You know what I mean? They didn't sight that gun in, I can tell you that, like, you should have to sight the gun in or something, you know what I mean? I don't know, like yeah, no, I
but
agree. 3 years
but
old
the
is
kid couldn't even hold it. I mean, I don't even think it
no.
would be all that kid could do to just carry
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Um, So that article kind of got me thinking, and I see a lot of other Facebook posts of, these super little kids killing things and stuff. And my comment was just that, I'm generally not in agreement with the government telling us when our kids can hunt. But um, in these situations, like it kind of, it's
I
hard
th-
for me to defend it,
yeah,
is how I should put it.
it
Why
does.
hard to me to defend why there
A, a,
shouldn't be a minimum age
a
on hunting.
3-year-old can, like it. Yeah, no, would I would agree. The semantics of where to place the line would be tough, right?
It's tough, very tough. Yeah, yeah,
Because
very
I've
tough.
taken like so my kids started young, you know what I mean? Like they've been shooting since whatever, but not 12, not 12 gauge turkey loads, you know what I mean? Not even anything big, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I actually started my kids on a 6.5 Creedmoor, and I bought the low recoil rounds for them, you know what I mean? So I mean it just kicks like a 22, you know what I mean? Just
yeah,
super low speed. We actually they are you could hunt with them, but watching what they did, I was like, yeah, we're not hunting with these. Like,
not effective. Yeah,
so
or effective enough.
I would slip in, you know what I mean? I'd slip in the hot load for hunting. So like my daughter or my son, when we were on the bench and shooting, we would just shoot a lot of that low recoil and just shoot and shoot and shoot and get good and shoot. It's not recoil and they're not getting afraid of it. Because I knew when we'd shoot at a deer, they weren't going to feel the extra recoil when it
Yeah,
came time, and I just wanted a little bit more punch. Um, and that's it. Probably 7 for my daughter, at least. You're right. At 6, she didn't want to. Low recoil, she'd shoot a little bit, but um, she was not enjoying it. You know what I mean? It was just like,
yeah,
okay, she'd shoot once, but not enough to be ready to hunt. You know what I mean? Because my whole thing is you need to shoot. If you want to hunt with me, you need to be able to shoot. You know what I mean? Like
gotta be proficient. Yeah,
you got to be proficient. You got to show me that you can hit the target and and you don't have to be nailing the bullseye, but you need to be in that on that paper inside the 8 ring or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's a 2-3 inch group that I want to see. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to tell you exactly what that group is, but it was probably 3 inches or so that I wanted to see at 100 yards, and you know again we were using the low recoil stuff, but
hmm,
yeah, and I would say by 7, and then 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 8 years old, they were both kinda ready. So then when we shot our deer, and they pretty much handled the gun, you know what I mean? Like,
hmm,
they would carry the gun, I would walk in, we'd set up maybe help them with the bipods or something, like engage in the bipods and all that kinda stuff, and setting up on the rest, and, um, anyways, I went east because it's a lot easier to hunt east, there's a lot open, muleys, open fields and different stuff like that. So it was like, but it was doable at 8,
sure.
right? But there was a lot, I guess I say all that to say that there was a lot of work that happened to get those kids at 8 ready. You know what I mean? That wasn't just like, oh, we flip up opening morning and be like, yeah, we're going to set you up on a bench here and there's a deer. I mean, this was a 5-month process of
Yeah,
shooting every other weekend or whatever, and finding the right loads and using low recoil and getting them proficient at the target, so that whenever it did come time to take a shot at a deer was different. And I will say I didn't do the mentor program. I made both my kids go through hunter ed. So they
sure.
had and I teach hunter ed, but I made them take another class. Like I wouldn't.
Through somebody else.
Yeah, I wasn't going to certify my own kids.
Yeah,
Just because I didn't want any kind of inclination that I'm playing favoritism for my kids with that. It's a really important hunting is just really important to me. So I'm like, you know what? If you can't pass the test, you don't get to go hunting with me.
yeah.
You
And
I take that back. You can go hunting with me, but you're not going to get the hunting license part of it.
yep. And the tough thing about this conversation is, even when I have it with anybody, there's always somebody chirps up and is like, "Oh, I took my my kid was shooting a 22 from the time they were 5, and, I took them
Mhm.
hunting when they were 7, were extremely proficient. I'm like, "Yeah, I get that." And even my kids, I've got a 7-year-old boy right now that he wants to shoot his 22, like, every day, and,
Mhm.
he can put it in 2-inch circles at 50 yards pretty consistently, and, so I understand that there are people whose kids are ready to hunt at an early age, but
Yeah.
I think in general, that's we're drifting farther away from that, even as,
I would
a
agree
society in general.
because I didn't hunt. I guess I went out with my old man, probably 11 or 10. I was probably trailing behind him. You know what I mean? Like watching him shoot deer. At 11 or 12, um, I guess it would have been called like a mentor program. It might not have been technically a mentor. I didn't shoot one,
Yep,
but I think the goal is he was going to put that 30-30 in my hands and let me shoot a deer.
yep,
Uh, and I think 13 or 14, we moved out here and I took hunter ed, and that's when I started hunting, and I haven't missed a season since. Right, so I was pretty engaged, but I don't even think my old man, I was shooting and I had it for my first gun at 5. You know what I mean, all that good stuff, but I don't think deer hunting and especially elk hunting, my old man was adamant that, um, I had to be old enough to keep up elk hunting. But deer hunting, I think, that 10, 12 is when at least my dad was. So I think it's as time's gone on, I think those ages have dropped some. You know what I mean? I think some of us
they
still
have,
start
and
to.
I think probably the ages have dropped, and obviously it's no secret that kids' exposure to the outdoors and stuff like that has also dropped.
Yeah,
Um, maybe not for kids like my kids and your kids, but I'm just talking about society in general, you know?
yeah,
And it's probably not a great trend to have both of those things be the case. When I grew up, we had to be 12. So,
right.
yeah, I went hunting. I walked along deer drives. I remember my dad made this little wooden, it wasn't a real gun, it was a little wooden gun
Yeah,
that when we did deer drives and stuff, that's what I carried. So, I felt like I was still carrying a gun, but it was just solid maple,
yeah, yeah.
Um, and so that's how I grew up doing it, and I couldn't wait until I was 12 and actually able to shoot something.
Take hunter ed through then.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
Back then you had to have hunter safety before you could even hunt. Yep.
Yeah, me too. And I'd say like I don't know if it was 12 or 13. It had to be 12. I mean, I know I took it as soon as I could, and so I think, yeah, and it was different. And so like, yeah, I can see where some of these mentor programs, good intent, you know what I mean? Like I think the intents of getting people out there and exposing them are good. Washington doesn't have a minimum age, I don't think, as a hunter education instructor. I have certified 6-year-olds, but they were extremely. I was nervous, number 1, you know what I mean? I remember the gal, this was 10 years ago, and I was like, "I don't know." I was talking to her parents, and it it was obvious that her dad worked with her a ton, you know what I mean? Like, she held the gun perfectly good. The weight was a struggle, of course, a big rifle, but, um, she loaded, she unloaded, she did everything just perfect, you know what I mean? Because I was looking for a reason to not, and I couldn't find a reason to disqualify her. She did the full test, she knew all the, I mean, I could quiz her and any question in the book, you know what I mean? Conservation,
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, she was good. Now I can tell you, most kids don't do that, you know what I mean? At 6, I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, the likelihood of you passing at 6 is really difficult, so it's like, I I don't know what the age should be, but I know 6, 7. If I had to if I had to guess, it meant 8 to 10 is on the low side, and then
Yeah.
12 is probably a little older than, you know, as many kids as I've certified in the last year. I mean, by 10, if they wanna be engaged, I'm kind of okay with 10-year-olds, you know what I mean? 10-year-olds seem to be at that age where they can kinda focus a little bit.
Yeah, the way I tend to look at a lot of this stuff anymore is how does it look to non-hunters, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had several non-hunters that have asked me about, well, like this 3-year-old incident, or, you know, they'll say it'll be a mutual friend of ours or something. I'll be like, "You see so and so let his 4-year-old shoot a deer or whatever?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw that." Now, I'll be honest, like, I have no idea, um, if that kid was really ready for it or not. It's just the optics of it aren't great. Now, you're never gonna, you know, anti-hunters and stuff, you're never gonna appease them. It's the people in the middle that I'm the ones that aren't necessarily against us, but may not do what we do either.
Yeah.
Um, those are, and a lot of these issues, I kinda look at how it looks to people like that.
Yeah, it's tough because it's the fault's more on the parents than I think on the
For
kids for
sure.
sure. Um,
For sure, yeah.
and I could see where some people are pushing. Yeah, I don't know, man, that's a tough one. 3 years old, and the truth is that accident, like, I hate to say it, but hopefully there's some recourse on that, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
uh, that's not acceptable, you know what I mean? Like, to shoot another hunter, regardless of the situation, it's like, yeah, those are the reasons why it's like, yeah, a 3-year-old is probably not capable of comprehending the fact that there could be other hunters out there and I don't know, reaping or whatever that's called, you know what I mean? Like, or
Mhm.
something could look like a turkey, but it's actually a human, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that
Yeah, a 3-year-old can't process that, which is why, like I said, a lot of people are like, the 3-year-old did not pull the trigger.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the other thing, it opens it up to, I can say that I'm taking my 3-year-old hunting and he's sitting on my lap, and in reality, it's just, another way for me to fill a tag.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
Yeah,
and there are definitely people that take advantage of that. Um,
yeah. No, I can see, and yeah, no. That is, I think, at least in my practice and the way I've treated my kids was they need to be proficient, you know what I mean? They need to show me that they were capable of handling that firearm proficiently before I would let them shoot a deer. And I think the part that's missed is the mentor program is not to get a young person hunting. It's I mean, it is that, but it's meant not as a substitute for hunter ed, you know what I mean? Like, it's meant so that somebody who's wanting to get engaged can participate while they, but not
Learn.
use as yeah, while they learn, while they're mentored into the program of hunter education, meaning you should be working on hunter education stuff and be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, you gotta take that in the next year or like, that's why I kinda like that 2-year rules. Like, you can do that once or twice, but after that, you gotta have hunter education, you know what I mean? And I can tell you at 3 years old, you're not ready to take hunter education at 5.
You can't even read,
Yeah, yeah,
you know? Can't read the questions.
yeah, yeah, and if that kid is not comprehensive of the gun laws, they shouldn't be mentored, you know what I mean? Like, that's the duty of the mentor right there is to take that responsible and be like, "Hey, these are the tenets of hunter education." Like, that mentor program is supposed to be in my ex in my thought process, that's part of hunter education, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's what that should be if you're doing that program, so, yeah.
You know, I've kinda taken it a step further with my kids even. I want my kids to kinda be mature enough to have a little bit of empathy for the animal they're killing, like, if they make a bad shot, I kinda want it to sting a little.
Yeah.
because I want them to not want that to happen,
Yeah.
and if they shoot at something and blow its leg off and they don't have any empathy for it, it doesn't really set in, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
But
that's obviously going to happen at different ages for lots of different kids.
I can tell you that was the biggest issue with my daughter. Like like her nervous about making a
Yeah.
good shot. Like
Yep.
that was her hang up, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
as far as she was really nervous that she wasn't going to make an ethical shot. And which surprised me a
Same
little
with
bit,
mine.
you know? Like
Same with mine. Yep. The first deer my daughter shot, the deer was facing us,
mhm.
so she kind of had to take like a. It was one of them things where it busted us, and I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna shoot it, Reese, you better do it
Yeah.
now because
It's
it's
time.
about to be gone.
Yeah,
So she
yeah.
took like a high brisket shot, and that thing just went down like a ton of bricks. Didn't
Mhm.
flinch, like dead.
Right.
Well, the next deer she shot was a little bit more of it was broadside and it wasn't aware of us, and she shot it behind the front shoulders, and it went. I don't know. It probably didn't go 50 yards, but it
Yeah.
hopped into the brush where she couldn't see it, and she was immediately in a panic,
Yeah.
like she wounded it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, that was a good shot.
Yeah.
So that just those two different she after she shot the one that just dropped like a ton of bricks, I think she
You
thought that's what a good shot meant, but
you need to shoot
it
get her shooting a 300 rum. That's what happens, man.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
no. Yeah, no, I can tell you that was, you mentioned that, it's like, yeah, it reminds me, but yeah, my daughter's her biggest hang up was an ethical shot,
mhm,
and, that was the hardest part. I had a deer her first deer was posted up, and that was actually like it was a long shot, it was a 400-yard shot, whenever we were set up on it. But we'd been shooting steel, we were good, like, I knew we were just fine, and that gun was just out good, and but we sat there for shit, it must have been 10, 15 minutes watching this deer behind this tree because we just didn't have the right shot. It was getting
yeah,
cold, and, about time we were gonna go sit back in the truck and warm up, because hunting with kids, I'm just like, "Hey, we're gonna make this enjoyable," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
she's getting super cold, she's getting frustrated. I was like, "Screw it, sweetheart, let's go sit in the truck," you know what I mean? The truck's, 30 yards right there, we'll just go hop in the truck, warm up. If it steps out, we'll leave the gun right here, you know what I mean? If we see it step out, we'll come back here and sneak in here and try and shoot it, and if not, we'll go find another one, you know what I mean? Like, it's no big deal. And about that time, it stepped out, and so I looked back up there, I threw my glass back up, I said, "Hey, sweetie, it just stepped out from that rock, you wanna shoot it?" And I'll never forget, man, she had gloves on and stuff. She, like, bit her gloves and just threw them. You know what I mean? It's like, to threw them off. I was like, "Okay, we're
I'm
going
ready.
for this." She dialed in on it, settled on it, and shot it, and, like I said, it took one little tumble, and I was too busy watching her to watch the deer, you know what I mean? Like, because I was more nervous about her and how she was gonna react and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and, uh, and so I didn't see it tumble, and she thought it ran off, and, my buddy watched it pile up, and he's like, "Damn, done," and she's like, "Oh my god, it ran off, you missed," same thing,
Yeah.
she thought she missed it, and
Thought
I
the
looked at my
worst
and
instantly.
I looked back at my buddy James, he was at the truck, and he was, like, high-fiving fist pumps, I'm like, "Baby, that thing's down." Like, I don't know what to tell you, but James don't get
You
like
don't
that.
get that excited for nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be cussing and telling us to shoot it, you know what I mean? Like, if it turns into a shit show, I know what James does on a shit show. It's like, "Oh, we're gonna get some shit done here." And James was fist pumping happy. I was like, "You did good." And she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know where that thing fell, but it didn't take 3 steps, you know what I mean? It must have just
It's done.
folded up right there." And, yeah, anyway, so, yeah, it was but she was just super anxious about it, you know what I mean? Even
Yep.
after the shot, she was still, like, kinda like your daughter. He's like, "Oh my gosh," and just, uh yeah, so yeah,
And honestly, my 7-year-old boy, that's probably the biggest reason I haven't taken him hunting yet,
because
is
he
because
don't
he
care.
just wants to kill everything. Like, he's getting a little bit better now, but, like last year and stuff, we'd be driving around and he'd see a deer and he'd be like, "Dad, shoot it."
Yeah,
Like if something came in the yard, "Dad, shoot it."
yeah,
It's like, That's not how it works. Like we don't just go shooting everything, and I wanted him to kind of dial it back from that a little bit, and it's gotten a little bit better because I'm always preaching at him about it. But there's just a little bit more maturity that I'd like to see out of him. I have no doubt that he would be. Well, I know he shoots his 22 numerous times a week off the deck, and like I said, he can drive tacks with that thing and shoots a 410, and I have no doubt that he couldn't be proficient with the gun. I'm hoping to see a little bit more maturity out of him
Yeah.
instead of being such a meathead.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's yeah, I think it kind of boils down to the parents and the guys that I would say the guy like I categorize myself there. That I've hunting is a big part of my life. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing it. I have not missed a deer season. I have not missed an elk season since I was 12 or 14 or whatever I started. You know what I mean? Like not missed one. And so it's a really important piece of my identity, I guess. And I take it pretty serious. You know what I mean? And my kids, but you know, what I mean, at 5 and 6 and 7, I didn't really care. I was like, you know what, we can shoot, but got 40 something years of hunting. You know what I mean? Those first couple are like, man, like those are cool, but we don't need to start it so early. You know what I mean? Like let those kids go with you. I mean, I killed a deer with my son at like 1 year old. And
Mhm.
so I'm not opposed to taking kids out there, you know what I mean? But my hunt when with a 1 year old was nothing like, you know what I mean? Like that year was a pretty, I was basically taking my son because my wife needed a break. You know what I mean? She's just like, it's Saturday. I'd been working, Monday through Friday when I was at Intel and she was just wiped out. And Saturday comes around and it's opening day of deer season. I'm like, baby, I gotta go deer hunting. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'll take the boy with me. And we killed one. But I had to sit him down on a stump, put the little earmuffs on him, and he's just da, 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 da. And he couldn't say anything, and had a little spike there that was standing there. And anyways, first spike ran away, so I got him back up. We just walking down this log road, and yeah, I ended up shooting a spike, but I had to set him in earmuffs, and he's sitting there, and I remember the only thing he could say was, "What's that? What's that?" He, and I was glutting this deer, and all he could say was, "What's that?" He's pointing at the guts coming out. "What's that? What's that?" I'm like, "Okay, man, maybe a little too young here."
But that's important too, right? Is you know to just have them tag along and see the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not the ones that are directly participating in. I mean, I've shot deer with all of my kids in the stand,
Yeah,
so they've kind of seen it start to finish, and I don't think there's any wrong with giving kids several years or whatever it is of that as well, and I'm sure your kids are a lot like mine because we run hounds and stuff,
yeah, they've been around it.
90% of the time it's not about the killing anyways.
Yeah, yeah,
So, they're around that a lot.
no. Well, Ross, speaking of hounds, I got to take this puppy to the vet. So we're gonna hit pause
Sounds good.
here. Let's it may sound a little bit conjolted, but we'll hit pause. We'll come back and either finish this up tomorrow, but maybe we'll
Yeah,
start
or
on another
text me when you get
topic.
back. If I got time here
All right, sounds good.
in a little bit, let me know.
I was voluntold to get this puppy her rabies shots and stuff, so I got to get that done. And I got 7 minutes now to make it to the vet, so I got to
I
get
got all
going.
mine done yesterday, so perfect.
Okay, we're back. I was like, that was a shit show. This puppy does not have manners,
Yeah, you'll have that.
like none, like no couth at all. That's
No
embarrassing.
fear.
No, just jumps around. Just treats. The vet giving her shots and all. We had to get rabies shots and um. I think. Do you have to have the chip for Canada? Do you know? Do you remember?
To get back in, you're supposed to, but
Okay, I had
they
him chip. I had her chip just because I thought there was something with that.
they didn't. I mean, I
They
don't
didn't check,
of,
but
of the people that I've know that have a handful that have gone to BC since then. I don't know of anyone that's gotten actually checked for it.
I've never gotten checked, but there were some new rules that come out in the last year or 2 on stuff, it seemed like. So I was like, just trying to make sure. I know rabies was the big one.
Yeah, but they've never even looked at my rabies papers either. They asked me if I had them. I said, "Yep." They
Yeah.
never never even checked them, but it's probably not something you wanna risk, you know?
I had one time that they were gonna check me, um, and, yeah, but it was because I had a dog that freaking blew up at the border barking, and it wasn't my dog, and I was kinda honestly, I was starting to sweat bullets a little bit because
Getting you nervous about
I
it, yeah.
didn't want to get checked, right? I had
Yeah.
paperwork. It may not have been the right paperwork, you know what I mean? Like, it may have been I was hoping yeah, I had enough paperwork for every dog I had, but I
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
just a road you'd rather not go down if you can avoid it.
hoping they didn't know what a blue tick and a red bone was, you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know if you know what that is." But, that dog blew up, I mean, blew up, and startled the gal at the border to where it scared her, and boy, she didn't like that, and, "What, you got paperwork for those? You got what? We wanna see all your paperwork for your dogs, da, 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 da," and I was like, "Crap," and I was like, "Okay, here we go," and she's
Yeah.
like, "Pull in here," and, you know, and I forget what it was. You know, I had a gosh, there was some other issue that, it was about the guns or something. I had a gun with me, maybe.
No, you didn't have a gun with you.
I didn't have a gun with me, yeah, yeah.
Was that when they I'm pretty sure that's when I met you up there, and you didn't have a gun with you, and they couldn't believe you were going hunting without a gun, and they tore your
Did
truck
I
apart
bring a
looking
dog for
for the
Stuart
gun.
that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it, and they were so when I went inside, got away from the gal on the outside, I went inside, and they were really confused about the fact that "Do I got a gun in that truck? Do I got a gun in that truck?" And to the point where the pressure was off on the dogs to where I actually bluffed. I was like, "Hey, you want the paperwork for the dogs?" They're like, "No, I don't need that stuff." I was like, "Put that back." I was like, "Okay." So I put that back in my pocket, and I was like, "Let's talk about no gun with." So I was showing them pictures of cougars, and you catch and release, and I was like, "Hey, I catch and release. Like I don't care if I shoot one." I said I got a buddy. Yeah, that's right. Because I was like, I got a buddy from Wisconsin, and he's gonna if we get a nice one, he'll probably shoot it. I said I've killed one before, so I don't really care. I'm up here just to enjoy the time with my friends and but yeah, the gal on the outside wanted the papers for the dogs, and I was like, "Oh crap, here we go." That was the only time I was gonna get checked for did I have all my paperwork in a duck, and ironically, I probably didn't that time. That time I
Yep.
there might not have been normally I go over and I got an envelope and it's just by the book, you know what I mean? Like boop, 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 every dog, whatever. And that's why like this puppy, I'm like, I want her set up so that if I do jump in last minute, I can. And I think yours was a last minute deal where I didn't have everything. I didn't have all the T's crossed. I was close, but and yeah. But now it's getting even stricter. So I'm like, I'm nervous about it. So I ended up getting her chipped and rabies so that I should have this dog ready so that I can take her across the border
If
if I
you
get a
decide to
last
go
minute.
this year.
Yeah, if I get a last minute invite. And so we'll see. I think we pretty much hammered that topic when we finished. I think we're done with that. I think we're what they call
Yeah, I
circling the
mean,
wagon.
but the only thing I would add is just, if that's something we don't want minimum ages on hunting, we just need to be careful about what we're doing, and
Yeah,
just be cognizant of how it looks to non-hunters. And I mean, there's minimum ages for everything fun anymore, driving,
yeah,
drinking, smoking. It's not, if somebody really wants to push the issue, it's not going to be hard. And a lot of states still do. I mean, I'm going to take my daughter to Wyoming, or I'm hoping to take her to Wyoming this fall, um, antelope hunting. But you can't even collect points in Wyoming until you're 12. So
Oh, really?
this will be her first year that she is even able to go. So
I haven't done the antelope hunt yet. It's one of the ones I was like, a couple buddies went in Wyoming and they're like, "Oh yeah, put in for it or whatever." It's every other year or something draw. I think they might have said it wasn't too hard of a draw, but
Yeah, it depends. So I just want to get her a doe tag because I want to go when their sage grouse season is open. So we
there's
can,
the real like, okay, we're gonna
yeah,
go, we're gonna
so we
take the
can
dogs
sage
over.
grouse hunt and hopefully get her a doe. And they had a bad winter kill a few years ago, so I mean it was like even 10% odds of drawing most units for
Yeah,
non-residents, but they're going to give out, I think it's like an additional 1,800 doe tags this year because they've had really good recruitment and stuff the last few years. So I'm
gotcha.
hoping we can find a zone where the odds are going to be favorable for her to draw a doe tag, and then we can go sage grouse hunting too. I just think that'd be, sage grouse is one of those things where probably better go do it if you want to do it because their populations are declining all the time, and um, in 10 years they might not even be around to do it. So I'm like, well,
Really?
we could go sage grouse hunting for a little bit in the morning and before it gets too hot, and then you know go blow up some stalks on some antelope and hopefully find one dumb enough that'll hang around long enough she can get a shot off. So,
Yeah. No, that'd be fun.
yeah,
But you gotta wait to put
if
in
she
there, huh?
draws.
You gotta wait
Yeah, I
for
think
her to
they're
draw.
yeah, I think the deadline for so Wyoming has said that they're giving out extra doe tags, but they have not said what units those are going to be allocated to yet.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping I think the application deadline is June 1st. I'm hoping they're going to release that information between now and June 1st. So,
Yeah.
if there's some units that they're going to give out more doe tags than others or whatever, we can apply for there. So it'll increase
How
the
old's your
odds.
daughter? Is it 11 or
She
12?
just turned 12. Yep.
And
Just
your
turned
other
12.
daughter? You got 2 daughters, right?
Yeah. My other daughter is 10.
Okay.
She will be 10. She's not quite 10, but will be 10. She
And
has
then you get
absolutely no desire to hunt.
nothing,
She loves to go.
right?
She would go hunting with me every day, but she's the kid that she sees a butterfly with a busted wing and she's got it in one of them little huts, thinks she's gonna save it. She wants to bring every stupid cat, puppy. She wants everything. She just loves animals. She loves to
Yeah,
eat them. Um,
yeah.
she's never turned her nose at any wild game we've had. She loves it, but she's got absolutely no desire to shoot anything, which is fine with me. I mean, she loves going along for the adventure and stuff, but she's got no desire to shoot anything herself, which is fine.
Yeah.
Then my 7-year-old boy, like I said before we got off, I think
He's
he
gonna
just
clean
wants to
up
shoot.
after her.
He wants to shoot everything. Yeah, he was just out. I got one of them fly guns, them salt,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
the things that
the
shoot
salted guns, yeah.
bug assault. He'll go out in the garage for an hour, just
Killing.
every goddamn fly he can find. I mean, he'll go through a quart of salt
If
out
you
there,
run out of 'em over there, let me know. I'll put them loose over here. We got
Yeah.
these we got these, freaking box elder bugs.
Oh, yeah, we get them bad too.
Oh my gosh, they're stink bugs or whatever, and man,
Yeah.
those things just get in the house, and it's like, I don't know how in the hell they, like
And the ladybugs, we get those. Well, I call them ladybugs. I think they're actually
yeah,
Asian beetles or
I know what you're
something.
talking about, but yeah,
Ugh, horrible.
get
Those
piles of
those
those
things
things.
are a little too armored for the bug assault, though.
They just take it.
They just yeah. Is that all you got? Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get that rock salt or something for them, I think.
Give 'em a little 22
Yeah, in the
punch
house.
hole. Yeah,
BB gun.
with yeah, snake shot. The 22 is snake shot. I'll teach your boy. You'll have the little holes peppered all over your place.
Yeah.
The
He'd
snake
do it
shot works a
too.
hell of a lot better than the salt.
Yeah.
Mm, right on.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
the
it,
other thing
3.
I saw, the other,
Well,
yeah, that's my 3 kids. Yeah, the other thing I saw was Idaho just banned, cell cams on public land. I think it says
yeah.
from August 30th till December 31st, but then they're also illegal for their spring bear season.
I
So,
seen, yeah, Idaho Houndsman was working on some of the technology, hunting technology stuff, which that's becoming more and more of an issue, I think. And
well, and it's probably just going to get worse too, right? I mean,
Mhm. I started using cell cameras last year. It's the first time I've had a couple, and I'm not very good at it. Like I didn't have a single picture of I had a couple does, um, but I don't necessarily like the idea of hunting with a cell camera. Like personally, um, I had a confliction about setting it up during hunting season and whether or not I wanted to actually hunt off. And I actually asked a couple people, and I was like, "Oh, it's legal," making sure legalities of it. Number one, I wasn't sure on that, but that's a weird. It's a weird dynamic, for me. So it's nice. I got one set up at my house right now, and it goes off way more than it should, and Uh, really, all I'm checking for right now is a coyote on it. You know what I mean? It's a
yeah,
coyote. I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna try and get that one." You know what I mean? It's like, I got a three-legged coyote in the backyard that my neighbor's been wanting to get knocked out. Hey, Dallas, cut it out. So I guess I don't have much problem shooting a coyote off a cell phone camera, because I'm
yeah,
gonna go straight out and try to sneak in on that thing. I've been trying to kill for a while. I haven't really been trying. I've just been like I've seen it a couple times, and my neighbor's seen it more than once, and he's got cattle out there, and he's like, he really
get
wants
rid of that
coyotes
thing.
dead. Yeah. But and I'm sure there's definitely people that train, use them, bait, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure this is a pretty more extensive topic that I'm familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's huge in Wisconsin. I mean, I've probably got a dozen of them.
Mhm.
I would say where I hunt, probably only about the southern quarter of the area that we hunt, we actually have cell service that they work.
Right.
Um, and I'm not gonna lie, it's especially during training season when I'm just running little bears, you're not trying to target big ones or anything, you know. I mean, I wake up in the morning, my alarm goes off, and the first thing I do is
Check your
scroll,
cameras.
check them cameras, and I like to hunt in that southern quarter a lot during training season. It butts right up to my cabin, and I wake up and I scroll through that picture and be like, "Oh, sweet little bear at this bait 4 hours ago." Like,
Yeah.
just go straight there and turn the dogs out. But I know there's several lots of places in Wisconsin where guys run them things all through kill season, and there's a lot of bears that die because of that probably otherwise wouldn't have. I've and the dumb thing is people will put this stuff on social media or whatever too. I've even seen outdoor life articles about, some big time big buck hunter that was, yeah, I wasn't really going to go hunting that night, but I was going to take my wife out for dinner, but the Tacticam cell cam went off, and whatever buck he's got named is out in his food plot, so I decided I'd slide out there, and instead of taking my wife out for dinner, and what you know what, he walked right by and I stuck him. It's
Yeah.
like, why would you publicize that? And the same thing happens with bears by us, people will be out hunting, whatever, don't have much going on, and all of a sudden their phone ding, look at it, and once you know it, a big mature
Yeah.
bear isn't at this bait, so they run over there and kill it, and
And I guess
it's
that's the problem I have is growing up hunting, it's it kinda comes to a question of when is it hunting and when is it shooting? You know what I mean?
yep,
There's a line, and I'm not saying, like, I get maybe I'm just getting to be old-fashioned or whatever, you know what I mean? But I'm like, where's the line? You know what I mean? Like, at what point is it, that let's take it 10 steps further and be like, you got a gun there, you got, you got a gun set up with a remote control. on your bait station. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
let's just go full on weird. You know what I mean? Be like, okay,
Yep.
what does 20 years from now? Is like, okay, the capability is absolutely it's there right now that a guy could set up a gun on a cell phone camera, go to a live feed and be like,
Boom.
Ross wakes up at 6:30. Oh, shooting hours. Let me just drive this gun, and you know what I mean. Like I'm not
Like
okay
playing a
with that.
video game almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Like I well, this puppy's gonna start barking here in a minute. Dang it. Oh, you want a puppy, Ross? Nate. Nate keeps telling me he wants his puppy back. I'm like, you're about to come get his puppy.
Yep. Careful what
Um,
you wish for.
so don't. Damn it! You knock over my drink. This dog is absolutely balls to the wall in full puppy mode right now. I've forgotten what this feels like. Um, so like that's one extreme that I'm like, at what point is enough enough? You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay,
Mhm.
or it started with trail cameras and you didn't know what you had for a month. You know what I mean? You went in there and it's like, oh shit. 4 weeks ago, there was a freaking nice cat on this thing, or whatever, you know what I mean, or whatever it was. Then you checked it every day. And with the cell phone cameras, a lot's happened where it's like and it's handy as shit. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
It's like, um and there's a part of me that wants to drop that in and except for I'm kind of too lazy to go into really good buck spots. You know what I mean? Like pike. I don't have good cell phone service, but that part of it is kind of like appealing to me. You know what I mean? Mostly that I can
Yeah.
hike it down into a hole somewhere, and especially if I could get cell phone service and I don't have to hike my ass down there every week to go get a SIM card. You know what I mean? It's like, so
Yep.
there's definitely some benefits that I look at it and go, okay, maybe that shouldn't be illegal. I guess where I draw the line is at the point where I'm racing across a mountain to go shoot a deer that I just got a text message of, you know what I
That you
mean?
wouldn't have otherwise known it was
That I
there.
wouldn't have otherwise even had a clue about. I personally don't want to be that hunter. Like
Yep.
that for me is not what hunting is about. You know what I mean? And I can't say that's for everybody. You know what I mean? Maybe that is some people, that's what hunting's about. But I would venture to guess most of us that's been doing this before cell phone cameras, before Garmin, you know what I mean? The guys who have really been into the woods and doing this, we're doing it for reasons that are not just killing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so that is a difficult one for me to comprehend sometimes. Like
It's definitely something I struggle with. Like I said, I use them. I wouldn't say, when it comes to kill season and actually killing bears, there's probably been a couple in the last, I don't know how long we've been running cell cams now, but probably 5, 6 years. There's probably been a couple bears that we maybe got that we wouldn't have, but, where I hunt, that's the other thing, like, even though these baits got cell cameras on them, like, I gotta the service is so shitty, I gotta look at my phone while I'm still at my cabin, basically, on the Wi-Fi
yeah.
to look at
Yeah.
the pictures. And then once I leave and I go hunting, like, I don't really have enough service that even if I got the notifications turned on, where
You could
there's
see it.
been some pictures taken at a bait, yeah, I don't really have enough service almost anywhere that I can pull those pictures in. Um, so like I said, I still use them, but it's definitely something I struggle with, and if they become illegal, which I think it's just a matter of time, I can completely understand why they would. Now, that being said, even before cell cams, like before bear season started, we would always pick a weekend where all of us that hunt together would get together and we would get a couple dump truck loads of sand, and we would have to carry sand in 5-gallon buckets into all of our baits,
Mhm.
which we run like 30 baits. So we're probably carrying 6, 8 buckets into every bait. That's a lot of goddamn work. And
Yeah, it is.
and then every day you'd bait, you'd carry your rake in with you and you'd scratch that sand up and we'd be looking for bear tracks. And that's how we would judge, like in training season, we would want to run smaller bears. So we went from that my whole life up until I don't know, when did trail cameras come out? 15 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
12,
I mean,
12
they've been
years ago?
around, but yeah, yeah,
Got like actually were they were affordable. At first they were like
yeah.
$300, now you can go buy a trail camera for $50, but
Mhm.
we started putting trail cameras on every bait and then we kind of got away from sanding those baits. We did a little of both there for a few years. And man, I don't want to go back to having to carry sand into all them baits either, but to
A
me
lot of
in
people's
my
not gonna
mind,
s yeah, yeah,
to me in my mind where I kind of draw the line is even with the trail camera set up, you still had to go in to every bait to check it and
yeah,
pull the card on that camera to see what had been to that bait. Whereas now with the cell cams, I can check 8 or 10 baits from before I get out of bed, just scrolling
yeah.
through my phone. Um, so kind of in my mind, that's where, and trail cameras aren't perfect.
No.
I can't
And I
tell
think
you
there's a
how many
difference.
times, they're screwed up. The batteries went dead. Somebody put a bad card into one, so they got no picture. So you got no idea what was there then.
Mhm.
They kind of hose you a lot of times too. But the
Yeah,
cell cams, if something's not working on them right away, like I've had times where one's not working or whatever in the afternoon before I'm going to hunt the next day, and I'm going to be like, I got to run out to that bait and change the batteries quick or put a new card in it or whatever
yeah,
because it notifies me instantly, pretty much instantly, that something's not working.
right, yeah. And I think there's one of the things I struggle with sometimes, and maybe it's just my prejudice, right, is I feel there's a difference between using the camera, um, for a trailing dog versus sneaking in to shoot a deer. I For some reason, and I don't exactly know why, and I can't articulate it, I treat those things differently. You know what I mean? Like, I personally, and again, this might be a prejudice that I have, but, um, I have thought about setting some cameras up for training opportunities, you know what I mean, to be able to
Mhm.
train and get this pup on a cat or whatever it is, and be like, "Oh, there's a cat. I'm gonna run up there and run that cat." You know what I mean? Your situation would be a bear or whatever, but
Mhm.
I I treat that differently for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, not to kill. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to go harvest that, I don't have a desire to harvest cats, so it's hard for me to say. You know what I mean? Like, it really,
Yep.
I a deer, an elk, yeah, I want to go kill it. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, oh, I'm killing that one. You know what I mean? That's a good one. We're gonna go shoot that. So, like,
Yep.
when I look at those animals, my my instinct is I want to go shoot that animal. You know what I mean? When I look at a cat, I don't have that instinct. I'm like, "Oh, I wanna go catch that one." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wanna go tree that one. So, I could care less if I shoot it or not. The goal for me is to tree it. Um, and so for some I hold those differently, you know what I mean? I'm like, "Man,"
Mhm.
and maybe it's just a personal line that I have, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yep.
really an ethics line for me personally that isn't the same for everybody. I'm not saying everybody has to be like me or anything like that, but, um I do struggle, and that makes it difficult because that makes it really muddy when it comes time to make laws like this, like, oh, hunting. The definition of hunting, most of the time, catch and release is still defined as hunting, and so these laws that would say you can't use a cell camera, to hunt with, they may not clearly define training season versus harvest
Mhm.
season, you know what I mean? And so, and even within harvest season, half the time you're not. hunting, so it's like, I don't even wanna get in I don't wanna be at the table making those laws, I'll just say that. I'm like, "Let that be for somebody else," you know?
Well, yeah, and it's pretty easy. It would be pretty easy for me to sit here and say right now, like, "Oh, I use them for training bears, but I wouldn't use it to kill one up until the day
Until the
that
time.
I have a tag in my pocket, and a
Yeah.
500-pounder walks into that cell cam at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, okay, now I just got to pretend like it wasn't there.
I
I mean,
100%, Ross, 100%. Half the time, especially in the last couple of days of deer season, that I had those cell cameras that I was playing with them, you know what I mean? I threw them in spots that number 1, I threw them in a spot that me and my daughter found a nice buck, and I was like, "I wanna see if that guy's still in there," right? And so it was a little ways in, it was a spot that, we didn't get to kill a buck, and I had just known there was a decent buck there, so I threw one in that spot, and then I threw one in another spot that was down a road a ways and it was hard for me to check. And so I essentially, there's a couple spots I like to check. And this was a spot I like to check, but it was such a long way out of my way to go check this spot. So I threw a camera in there. I don't think I did get does on it. On both of them, I got does. I never got a buck. But mentally, I know I was going to be really torn if a pig showed up and be like, whoa, that one we're gonna go, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm talking a tall game right now, but in the moment, had a nice buck showed up, I probably would have been racing across the mountain with a gun, you know, like, "Oh shit, here we go, bro. Get out the way." You know, like I could see that the pull for me would be very difficult to like right now talking about it, yeah, blah, 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 blah. In the moment, I'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna sneak in there and take that one. You know what I mean? Like I could
yeah.
see where you could talk yourself into
I
it.
can overlook this one. It's just one
Yeah,
time.
it's just one time,
Yeah.
and so like I mean, a total hypocrite. I could see where it's like, man, and I was honestly a little bit relieved when I pulled those cameras because I was like, it was, but it was a mental battle that I had that was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Who am I gonna be as a person when that picture shows up? And luckily the picture never showed up, so I don't know who I was. I can still talk a good game right now because I that picture never showed up. You know, I never got the text message. And but but I do know that I was struggling with that, you know what I mean? And I'm I'm not sure what I'm gonna do this year, if I'm gonna put cameras up or not for deer hunting this year. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
um I wanna get good pictures of deer. I really do. But I don't wanna I really I really don't wanna shoot one from a text message. Like, I
Yeah,
personally I think that would make me feel a little bit
a little
like a cheat.
dirty or
Yeah,
yeah.
I would feel a little bit dirty. I just know that if I shot one 15 minutes after I got a text message from a camera that, um, I would feel dirty about it. I just would. I wouldn't be proud. I wouldn't be telling the whole story. If I show a picture of that buck, the the
Or at
text
least
message is not gonna be on the picture.
you would just, at least tell your confidants or whatever. You wouldn't be putting a
Yeah.
article up in Outdoor Life about it.
No, no, exactly. Yeah. I'll, so
I
we'll
mean,
see.
the way I kinda look at it is it's legal, right?
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, it's 100% legal.
It's legal
Everybody
in
does it.
Washington. I mean, I was asked the game warden. I was like, man, because I couldn't find the laws on it, and
Mhm.
I was almost certain it wasn't legal. You know what I mean? Like I
Yep.
really was like, oh, I want to check these cameras, whatever, and it was like, no, that's legal, and I'm like, oh, really? And checked again, and I was like, well, even though it's legal, I don't know that I'm comfortable with it, but it is 100% legal here.
Yeah. I and maybe that's not the right way to look at it, but it's like, everybody does it. Do I feel a little dirty about it? Maybe. And if they if there's some proposal to ban them, I'm not gonna be showing up at the Capitol trying to protest it because I'll completely
Yeah.
understand it, you know?
You know who would be not worried about feeling dirty? Like, my dogs. My dogs would be
Yeah,
like dirty
we
catching
don't give a
sons of
shit.
bitches. They would not they'd be like, "Hey, whatever it takes." Like, my dogs don't care.
Mhm.
They not they don't they're not sleeping in bed thinking about, that was a little bit of a cheat where I cut off that," like, I ran down the road instead of going through the brush or whatever they do that cuts off a race. There's no as far as the dog's concerned, they don't care. However it takes, whatever it takes.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe that's not the right way to look at it, but that's
It's
kinda
it's
how I look at it,
challenging.
but I think
No,
it's coming, for every state, I would assume, I think did Arizona ban it for the whole state, or is that just public land on in Arizona? A lot of what
I
we're seeing now is just public land, um,
yeah, I don't
but
know. I haven't really followed the issue too much, mostly because it hasn't been something that I have partaked in, you know what I mean? Like, I
yeah,
really last year was the first year that I actually broke these cell cameras out, and, I really got the cameras for, cats, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, my mo and I just never set them up or never done anything with it, but, you know what I mean? Like, trying to, um, d tr it would be nice to have it for a cat, to be able to get on a cat and do some training and, like, all that, uh, if I was camping, I'd like to have 4 of them
mhm.
set up or whatever, and I've just never done it, mostly because 'cause I'm too lazy to go set them up and find the places that have service
Yep,
and do all the work for them. It's just been easier just to go hunt, but,
yep.
yeah,
In
so
Wisconsin, they're huge, I mean,
everybody
every
has one.
landowner it and honestly, that's kinda become a big problem as far as, like, trespassing and stuff,
I was
you
gonna
know,
say, everybody posting pictures on the internet. "Who's this guy? I wanna talk to him."
which those things that's a whole 'nother ball where, there's a Wisconsin Rut Report Facebook page, and there's always these somebody'll get one picture of somebody on there, and it's like, "Dude, the guy's got a roll of toilet paper in his hand." Like, he just pulled off the road and had to take a shit, like, leave
Yeah,
him be, and they're blasting him all over Facebook trying to get this guy hung, but, it's I mean, there used to be land that borders the public land we hunt on, and, if you treat a bear on that land or something, well, those guys are in Milwaukee, like, just go in
yeah,
there and get your dogs. Well, now it's like, shit, everybody's got these cell cams. So, um, where you used to think you could get away with stuff anymore, you necessarily can't. I mean, there's this guy that owns 450 acres that butts up to the public land right by my cabin. Now, him and I have become really good friends, but his land used to be like that. I didn't even know the guy really. He lived at the southern end of the state and wasn't up here very often, and you just never worried about it. And then all of a sudden he got a bunch of cell cameras put up, and he didn't want people on his land, and he started spending more time up here, and now it's once I learned that, my dogs would be heading towards his land and there was no place I could catch them off. I'd be shooting him a text like, "Hey, just giving you a heads up, they're heading towards your land. I'll try to get them out of there as soon as I can or whatever." And like I said, now him and I have become pretty good friends. So, um, it's changed some, but the cell cams have definitely changed a lot of things.
yeah. I know, a couple years ago, a guy here around here got busted. The guy or it was 1 or 2 guys in the article or whatever, but they trailed a bear past a cell camera, and then he walked past a cell camera, and that was enough to they weren't supposed to be doing that.
Weren't supposed to be there. Yep.
Mm-mm, and so they
Yep.
ended up getting arrested, and charged, based off a cell phone camera, so yeah, there's
Yeah. It's,
it's getting to where you pretty much know you're gonna be on a camera at some point.
yeah. It's definitely gotta be in the back of your mind, and it's unfortunate because
He's taking a
there isn't
piss
a
in the woods now, and I'm like, I'm starting to look for cameras. Like, honestly, like on the side of the road, I'm like, I might probably getting recorded right now. Gonna be show up on one of the Facebook. Who's this guy right here? Blah, blah, blah.
I gotta be
Oh,
careful because I've got one set up, like, in front of my cabin just so I can see people that come and go, and, uh, there's several people that I've shared my cameras with that can see
yeah.
what's going on there too, and there's been times where I've, like, had to take a piss in the middle of the night or something, and I'm like, "I'll just piss outside real quick," and I jump out, and I'm like, "Oh, shit, there's a camera right there."
Billy Bob's getting a picture right now.
Yeah. Yep. Hopefully my mom doesn't look at that one.
Yeah, I thought
But
about putting a camera up on my place for traffic. Houses, cars coming in and out.
yeah.
God, I don't want the alert every time. If it was a cabin,
I
I could see.
I turn mine off. I turn because I hate my phone vibrating in the middle of the night or
Yeah,
whatever, or the little red icons. I kinda ADD, like that a little bit. I don't like having a whole bunch of red icons up all over on my phone, so I have to actually go into the app to
dude.
see the new pictures, but,
Mine's like a Christmas tree, but it's just every app on my phone has a red icon almost. It's like,
oh, yeah, that would drive me nuts. That would drive me nuts. I'm not
yeah,
type A about too many things, but that stuff kinda drives me nuts. But, yeah,
oh,
I've got one set up right behind my cabin where my trails make a Y, and, I see, and I'm not I tell people all the time, like, I run hounds, like, if you gotta come onto my place to get a deer, your dogs get on my place, or, like, you don't even gotta ask,
right.
just go. Um, but it's kinda nice having those cameras up because I can see, keep tabs on what's going on, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see where they're helpful, and I can also see where and this is where I would just kinda bow out of the discussion because I don't use them enough to have an opinion about it, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Mhm.
if
It's not
if
gonna
they
affect you really one way or the other.
yeah, like, if they were to say it's not legal to hunt with them, you know what I mean? I would hope they would go into the harvest side of things, but you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, that doesn't affect me," you know what I mean? Like, I haven't done that yet, and I'm just starting to think about doing that, you know what I mean? Like, not it'd be incidental, you know what I mean? I'm not intentionally trying to set up to hunt that way, but
Mhm.
I'm putting myself in a position that that could happen, you know what I mean? I'm just by using those cameras and trying to set them and watch what I need to do is I need to go out there right now and set them up and find those get my target buck or whatever I can name them.
Yep,
You know what I mean? I don't do
yep.
that. I pretty much just start, like I find the way I deer hunt is I pretty much start I hunt almost every day. The last couple of years I haven't even hunted the first week. I wait because it's like everybody's out there open in the morning and it's freaking nuts. And I'm like, dude, like, so I just go and start looking for does and I try to count does and find does and and watch the does and see whenever I start seeing does come in heat, then I'll start circling back and checking around them, looking for bucks, So the
Yep.
first week I just pretty much drive around look for does and then by the end of the season I'm hunting pretty hard for a buck, you know what I mean? Checking where I see the does in heat and stuff like
Got
that.
your hot spots and
Yeah. Um so I've never shot a target buck. I've never seen a buck before I've killed them. You know what I mean? Like
yep.
trying to think if I've ever killed a buck that I had seen before season. I don't think I have. I just don't think I have.
Yeah, and by
Yeah.
us, they all got names. If they're, you know, if they're nice, somebody's got them named. I mean,
Yeah.
um, I'm not a huge deer hunter, so I don't really care enough to name them or,
Yeah.
you know, put that much time and effort into it. But if
Hmm.
there's a nice buck by us, it's somebody's definitely named it. and has claimed it.
and claimed it. That was my buck.
Yep. Yep.
I've seen bucks that I've shot and missed, and I wished I've seen him again. And yeah, I've hunted hard for bucks that I've seen. Um, I just don't think I've ever been successful at seeing a buck, missing it, and then like the one buck, my biggest buck that I mean, I still dream about this buck I missed, and I've never seen him again. Never seen him again. And I hunted that place a lot after that buck. Like,
Yeah.
but blacktails are kind of hard. They don't you don't see them very often. There's some good blacktail hunters out there that maybe have spots and pay attention and better than me. But yeah, we're in, we're in a different game. You're pretty much you see one, it's in the brush. You're pretty lucky. And then by the time the ruts kick around, shit, they're covering so much ground that
Sure.
they're just traveling. I mean, traveling all. And I'm guessing the same with whitetail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once that rut kicks in,
They could be
those
anywhere
guys
pretty much.
those guys got to be
Yep.
moving through. So you're probably shooting, or hunting transient bucks for the most part. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
guessing.
my specific land I hunt, I mean, sometimes I don't have hardly any bucks on camera until the rut starts,
Yeah,
besides
yeah.
little dinkers or something.
So I'd imagine it's somewhat the same. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I don't know, but do you see pictures of the same deer a lot on like bucks wise, or
Yeah. Um,
until season, until that rut kicks in, or what?
yeah, sometimes they'll, just when you think you got one figured out and he's there, then all of a sudden he's gone. But, I have also had, well, number of years ago, there was a dandy 12 pointer with a drop tine that he wasn't there before the rut very often, but he would be there for 3 days straight or 3 weeks straight, like every day, every night. I never did see him hunting. I just
Really?
saw trail cam pictures of him. I would hunt one stand and the son bitch would be in front of one of my other stands that day and then be like, well, I better go over by that stand. I'd go over by that stand and the son bitch would be on the other in front of the other stand. I played that cat and mouse. But um,
This is before
and
cell phone cameras, or
that was before cell phone cameras, yes.
yeah,
Um, but in that case, even if we had cell phone cameras, like in Wisconsin, especially northern Wisconsin, like you don't have vantage points anywhere, right? So yeah, that deer might be in a food plot, but the odds of me sneaking up anywhere close enough that I could see that deer to shoot it with him there is, I mean, they're going to wind you or bust you or something long
gotcha.
before, so that's not really an option for deer. I mean, I suppose there's some setups where you see them in you got it on a camera in a larger ag field or something, and you could see the way that he was working and maybe get in somewhere and cut him off. But,
Yeah,
for the most part, if you get a picture of something, like you're too late, you
yeah,
should have been, you should have been there already. Um,
yeah.
but that being said, there's always outliers too. So
Hmm.
I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see because I'm guessing that's been like 3 or 4 Western states now that have banned it, and I think it's only happened on public land so far, but, I mean, I guess I don't see why they couldn't do it outright either.
Yeah, no, I agree. I got some feedback. One of the guys from Utah ended up calling me and was really thankful that we were talking about some of that stuff.
Sure.
So I was like, man, I had to remember what our podcast was about. But he was like, that group we were talking about that group. He said that guy was really, really good and helpful. But the politics
Yeah, yeah.
on things are just so messy sometimes. But yeah, but we should get. I
Well,
wish
that's
there was
good.
a way to get more feedback from different people, like people talking and, hearing the podcast. It is nice to hear from people once in a while. So I do appreciate when people call and
You get
tell
lots
me
of
what they
feedback
think.
on the e-seek.
Yeah. Started another. I had to. My wife's like, "You started shit again this week." I'm like, "Well, I didn't mean to, but I just had to get one more little point out, which I wasn't like. I'm
It
kind of
wasn't like
stuck.
anything earth-shattering
No, no, it was just kind of
or
like
like a below the belt blow or anything. I don't know. It's
yeah. Well, another supplier. So Wade and the Hound Recovery Antennas is going to start selling those e-seeks, and so it it's funny. I mean, I talked to him a couple weeks ago for an hour. I think I told you we'd we'd spent some time talking and talked about the e-seek. I pretty much told him some of the stuff that I said. You know what I mean? I was like, there's really two major business issues that I feel is not safe for me to try to sell those. Even if we took everything away and said like most of the things I have an issue with up to date have been software issues. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't work.
fixable
Yeah,
but they're fixable as well with
exactly.
the
That's what I
right
mean. Like you could,
feedback and the right
yeah,
receptiveness on their end. It's fixable.
exactly. And so I think some people are like, and I think I'll just say I don't want to put words in Wade's mouth, but I kind of think that was his angle. Was like, hey, well, buddy, if we could work on fixing these things and make this better, would it be? Yeah, I mean, like we can make money. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say that's exactly what he said. I'm not. I mean, it wasn't just all about money, but at the end of the day, it was about money. It was like, hey, we could sell these and make money, and honestly, I'd make more profit margin than I would with Garmin with those, at least in the short term. Like I have an issue that I think, and I'll discuss that here in a minute. This is a topic I haven't talked about to anybody, but a few people. But as it stands right now, I could buy those systems and sell them at the price that we're selling them for and make more profit than I would with Garmin. You know what I mean? On paper. I don't think it would pencil out that way because the customer service part of it, the technical support part of it, the failure rate part of it would probably negate some of that. You know what I mean? Like I if I looked at the big picture, if I just looked at, hey, I can buy these for this X amount and I can sell them for X amount, I could get 40%, profit margins, and and that's more than what I make with Garmin. You know what I mean? Like I almost by a lot. But so the pull there is like, yeah, I look at that and go, man, it would be nice to make more money. You know what I mean? Make more profit and I would love to have a product that, you name it, some widget that you can build for $1 and sell for $10 and patent it and protect it and wholesale it and do all that and sell it to the wide public. Not talking houndsman. I'm talking toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like something that every single human uses. I would love to have that product that I could build for this, sell for X, scale it, sell it, done. I could cash out, sell that business, and hunt the rest of my life and have generational wealth. You know what I mean? Like that's not what W is. We don't have generational wealth here. You know what I mean? We still got to work, and we're scraping by. With products that don't have great margins. So I'm always looking for that product. You know what I mean? Like I'm always trying to find that
You didn't have
golden
that in the
ticket for
hog
me.
hobbles to goat
I almost did, but it just
ladies?
petered out. I thought I
Oh,
had it
that's
for a second. China was gonna start making me some hobbles. But that dream petered out. Like we sold a pile of them for a couple days, and I haven't sold a hobble for the last 2 weeks now. So all the goat we have serviced all the crazy goat ladies, and they all got their
back to
hobbles.
reality.
I'm like, well, that pipe dream didn't last very long. Um, but so I'm always in that mindset. I'm always like, it would be nice to have that that golden ticket item. You know what I mean? And you look around and it's like, whatever it is, you look and go, shit, I wish I would have thought of that. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, with that said, I think he was, going back to my discussion with Wade, I think he was really thinking that if I could fix all the software issues, and I say I mean we or whatever, but work with the manufacturer to fix the issues that I have when I see them, and the fact that it turns on, and the fact that the tracks disappear. I mean, all the things you've seen on my videos, like those were legit. I wasn't trying to set that thing up. Like I literally just popped it out, started using it, and I'm good at recording problems because I've been doing that for 14 years, 15, I mean, like that's just what I do. Like I send in reports, and when I'm working with Garmin or whatever, I try and send them a video showing them. So I just naturally was like, let me just record this really quick. It also apparently works good to show people problems on YouTube when eSeek doesn't work. So it wasn't a fair fight because I'm so used to looking at problems. And the second thing is I've identified so many problems with Garmin that I know where weak spots are. You know what I mean? Like I know that two handhelds pairing together, I'm like, they haven't tested this. You know what I mean? Like I joke that there's probably like 4 guys in the US that are using these things, right? Because it seems like the same 4 guys would come bash me on Facebook. But I was like, none of these guys have 2 handhelds. None of them have tried to track handheld to handheld. You know what I mean? And so they claim it can be done. And I'm like, I know that nobody's done this. You know what I mean? Like, and so I was like, let me get 2. So it's easy for me to just put 2 handhelds together and go, there's going to be a problem here. I can tell you right now, they weren't done. And so, but to back up and go, you are absolutely right. Most of the issues they have are software fixable issues. And the question is do I want to do that much work to try to fix it and make it a really usable product? And the answer is no. Like I don't want to spend that much time and effort and work and doing that. And if I did, I would want to do it with my own system. You know what I mean? Like I would almost want to make a W tracking system. You know what I mean? Like and start from scratch, and I've had people kind of offer me money years and years ago to do that, and I was like, no, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of problems, there's a lot of issues. And so when you got somebody offering you hundreds of thousands of dollars, half a million, million. I don't know what the full number was. We weren't talking that much, but the question was, you know, posed to me, hey, buddy, how much would it cost you to build a tracking system? And my answer was, I would need $1 million to start out. And they didn't flinch. You know what I mean? Like, didn't flinch. And then I was like, oh shit, well, I better really know what I'm doing because, like, this is a serious conversation. And I'm doing the math and I'm penciling out and go, okay, getting a software engineer and you know, this was years ago. This wasn't anything recent, but this was years and years ago. And going, well, might be able to hire, and I had some friends at Intel, you know what I mean? So I actually had some engineering people that I was like, man, I might be able to tap in and pull some guys that could write code and stuff like that. And ironically, the plan that I had that, scratched out, it wasn't on paper or anything, but in my head was the Dogtra plan. You know what I mean? And this was before Dogtra, before Sport Dog, before any of the competition. It was just Garmin. This is DC30, DC40 days. And I said the way to do this would be to go to a cell phone and build a Bluetooth device that would track the dogs, and so that we could work on a cell phone developer to manage the code, meaning we could get an app developer to build the app, and then Laylapps came around, You know what I mean? All these things come around. But before any of that, before I knew a single one of those guys, I mean, this is before there was a cell phone tracker out there. That was my plan to be like, hey, that would be the way to do it. And I'm not saying I'm everybody behind me was thinking the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the easiest way to do it. And I was like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it better than Garmin. I said the challenges would be so high that I don't think we could do it enough to take market share from Garmin. I said, you still need to have the hardware to do it, the handheld. And I said, that's expensive. Like, it's really expensive to drive that handheld piece. So I say all that once in a while I got this crazy idea and I'm like, God dang it, maybe I should have. You know what I mean? Maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago, I should have just jumped, you know what I mean? And taken that $1 million or whatever. And maybe I would be on a not at Garmin's level. I wouldn't be I, I'm sure I wouldn't be friends with Garmin. You know what I mean? I don't know where I would be, but I always think maybe I'd have been in a different spot. So anyways, when it comes up to this, we loop back to the eSeek. I'm like, with what they have, if I could take that back 12 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, let's work through the hoops. Let's jump through the hoops of getting the FCC. Let's do it right, blah, blah, blah. But right now I'm still like, man, we're so far behind the ball on this. I
Hmm.
don't I don't see the reward to try to jump in on this one. It's got to
Well,
be
and
somebody else.
what people probably most people don't realize is Garmin has a pretty large network of people, testers, that test
Mhm.
every single device, the app, whatever, for months before they are
Yeah.
out for production. So a
Yeah.
lot of the initial, like Garmin, for instance, like the beeper collar. Garmin has that beeper collar, had that beeper in the hands of a bunch of people. Garmin obviously thought that they had that beeper nailed down when they
Right.
put it out for testing. Well, then it goes out into the real world, and real hunters, real people that use stuff on the daily had that and made a bunch of changes to that beeper before it ever got put out into production. So, and there's still issues. There's still
Yeah.
issues. So, somebody like you developing a tracking thing, like, are you going to have the resources for, to go through all that before it
No.
even goes out into the marketplace?
Exactly. And it's like the it's easy to say, "Oh, we're gonna do this product." Like, it's easy to get the handheld, the collar, and be like, "Oh, yeah, it tracks further than Garmin." You know what I mean? Like, but that's just one small piece of the puzzle that
Mhm.
it's like, I don't know how many eSeek users there are. I I joke that there's 4, right? Because I can name 4 of them that have come, I don't wanna say after me, but have put pressure on me
Well, maybe
when I
5 now,
speak.
but
Now 5. Yeah, there was one yesterday that showed up. I was like, "Oh, hey, new one. It's 5 now." Um, like, that's all I got to go off of is I get pressure when I post my thoughts on the eSeek, which are not positive thoughts, right? So I get pressure from people and uh and so I go off of that and I go, okay. And I look at when I step back and look at the big picture, I'm like, and that's where I can look at holes and I go, none of these guys have got 2 handhelds. None of them are tracking handheld to handheld. I bet you there's a problem with that because I guarantee you China is not tracking handheld to handheld. And the let's just say there's 4 times as many as I think. So there's 20 guys in the US using these. I said, I bet you none of these guys are tracking handheld to handheld. And furthermore, if they are, I almost guarantee none of them are getting back to the manufacturer in a manner that reports it so they can fix it, right? Because communicating back to the developer is I mean, that communication link is difficult. You know what I mean? Like it is really difficult. It's difficult for Garmin. Like Garmin, and I got to be careful what I say, right? Because I have a non-disclosure, so I can't talk a lot about what I know about some type of things with Garmin. But I think I'd be fair to say that testing dog products for Garmin is difficult sometimes for Garmin to do because they what we do is not easily duplicated, if that makes
Mhm.
sense, right? So there are far and few houndsmen that work hounds the way our community does. When I say our community, our hound community, they're not working at Garmin. You know what I mean? Like it's not easy to be like, I need a software developer, and it'd be really good if I could find a houndsman that's a software developer because those guys just don't exist very often. You know what I mean? Like there's not many of them out there to correlate to engineering. So
Well,
any of
and
these companies,
you're trying to build something. Not, and I mean, not all houndsmen are the same. Like some guy that hunts coons in Iowa, it might be just him and his 2 dogs.
yeah,
And then you got a guy like me, I've got 4 or 5 dogs of my own, but then I go out hunting with
oh
sometimes
yeah,
6, 8, 10 different people with, you know, maybe altogether there's 100 of us out there. And yeah, I don't need, or 100 dogs out there. Maybe I don't need to track all 100 dogs at a time, but I need to be able to have the ability to put in this dog or that dog
yeah.
when I need to put that dog in, or delete this dog when I need to be able to delete that dog. So they're trying to build a device for houndsmen, but yet we're also unique just based on where we hunt and what we hunt.
Yeah, and it's tough, and so that aspect of the problem, and there's other things that have this happen, but if you look at almost every other product, like trucks, easy to find engineers that are interested in trucks, race cars, you know what I mean? Easy to find engineers that are interested in race cars, you know what I mean? Like guns, machinists, you know what I mean? Like it's easy for a machinist to be really an expert in firearms that are making these actions and stuff, you know what I mean? And checking tolerances and whatever, you know what I mean? So like you look at Garmin, GPS, watches, whatever, all of the other products that Garmin does, they got thousands of users that go work out with a watch, that go running, that go do triathlons. You know what I mean? They got bow sights, not a problem. We got that guy shoots an archery, that guy shoots an archery, that guy shoots an archery. I can throw an archery, label on this. The chronograph, you know what I mean? Easy to go to a range and find shooting experts or what you know what I mean, like all these different products, and not just with Garmin, but in the world, it's really easy to find experts. In the dog world, not so easy. Like they're there, but it's really difficult to engage with those guys because number one, we don't really give a shit. Like we're out, we're beating our trucks up. We're, you know what I mean? We're out there for the dogs, and and like we're hard on stuff. And our mentality is it's time to go. To hell with everything in my whenever my dogs take off, to hell with everything. I'm going with my dogs, right? And you can't have that mentality when you're building a product. You just can't. Like your mentality has to be, well, what's the color? What's this doing? What's that? You know, you got to geek out and just da 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 da. It's like throw that thing. Ross, quit looking at that son of a bitch screen. We got to go. Like
Yeah.
dogs are, I mean, I just heard wolves. We got to go. Like you can't be looking at your Garmin. You can't say, oh, let's do it. Like whatever it is, there's situations that it's like, hey, put the things away. So with that said, it's you can simulate. You can take a collar and go walk it around and put it on your pet dog and take it for a park walk. You can go take out in the you know go put it on a bird dog. Is bird dogs are even easier because there's enough of them. But a bird dog doesn't do what a hound does. You know what I mean? Like
Most of the
when
time
you
they're not more than 400 yards from you.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, the point that your dogs are stressing out a system on a bear race, like, shit's going south, and sometimes it's a lot for you to just keep up with the pack and the race and figuring out where they're going and what road they're going on. You can't exactly focus on the technology of it, you know what I mean? So it's like somebody else has to do that, and it's just a very difficult. I'm not great at it, but I know there's times when I'm out hunting that I'm like, I gotta really focus on, you know, taking pictures, videoing, marking things, trying to fiddle around with this problem to see if I can find a clue to tell the engineers, "Hey, I see this thing going on here. I think it's happening because of XYZ, but I'm not sure," right? And that's not for everybody, man. I could tell you right now, most people that I'm with get really frustrated when it's time to start chasing a problem. You know what I mean? They like, I just want it to work. And I'm like, yeah, we all do. But did you shoot a video of it? Can you try this? Can you do this? Can you do, all these little steps that it takes that are annoying as hell. Most of them don't work, but you're in the process of eliminating a problem. And, that's just really, so anyways, I know how difficult that is. And when I look at eSeek and I look at these new guys I mean, Dogtra, same thing. Like I don't have a non-disclosure with Dogtra, and I have several times sent them an email, called them, tried to talk to one of their engineers. I took their engineers out on a snowmobile, and again, that connection, that those engineers gloss over. Like, they don't understand what we do. Like, they don't get it. I remember one time I took the engineers for Dogtra out, and we started a cat, and the system glitched out, and the engineer was from South Korea, and he's like, "Okay, well, we just need to restart the collar." And I'm like, "Go right ahead, sir." You know what I mean? Like, no problem, but have at it. And I just look at him, I said, "You can go do that. You better." I just looked at him, I said, "You better run." You know what I mean? And he looked at it, and he goes, "Point accepted." You know what I mean? He couldn't take English, but he's like, "Point made, point made." I was like, "You don't understand. When we turn these dogs loose, we don't get them back until it's, you know what I mean? Like, there's no come back and retry. There's no reset. Like, this is it. You got one shot." That Eminem song is like, "You got one shot, do not like," but that's kind of it. You know what I mean? I was like, and he was like, "Yeah, we just need to reset that collar really quick. Something's going on goofy." And I'm like, "Yeah, you don't have that option. There is no reset on this. Like, it has to work. It's got to be good." And I don't have the ability well, I could call him back, but then it blows my whole hunt up and it's not worth it. So
Yep. Maybe
anyways,
you can call them back, but there's a lot of people that ain't calling them back.
yeah. And
You
so
know.
I circle back to eSeek and I go, if we could fix, like, number one, so that's my thinking of this is I've dealt with 15 years of problems, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. Like, that's a lot of work for me to do for free because they're not going to pay me. You know what I mean? They're not like, so I'm just going to give them my advice and my time and my work. And I'm like, yeah, do I really want to do that? And then the other point that I and I just want to say this out loud because I'm sure at some point, one of these detractors is going to be like, "Oh, buddy, just was in it for the money." But there's what I would consider like an Amazon effect on these EC collars, right? Is, let's just say I spent a year and got these things where I would be comfortable with them. I I wouldn't trust this company to have these devices show up on Amazon for 5% over dealer cost at some point. You know what I mean? Like, what's to stop some of these major Amazon accounts from just buying and flipping for, they're happy with a 5% markup because they don't have to worry about customer service, they don't have to worry about customers calling them, troubleshooting, any of the things that we do as a company. And I'm like, I'm going to spend all my time and effort to help this product to watch it go on Amazon for pennies on the dollar? I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me. Like that's another business reason that I'm like, man, it's just foolish. You know what I mean? Like there's no there's no long-term protection or
Guarantee or yeah,
whatever. Yeah. I'm
yeah.
like, um, so that's a part that I don't fully. I mean, I'll be honest. I've thought about, man, well, buy those things, and I could just make a no-name Amazon account. You know what I mean? Like double D Amazon account, and be like, I
Yeah.
would flip those things for 5, 10%, and be like, learn to flip people off, and be like, hey, that's that's not my persona. You know what I mean? It'd be completely opposite of what W stands for. But it'd just be a matter of like, hey, just want to flip these things for money, and the answer is no, I don't want to. But I think I just can't imagine those aren't going to end up on Amazon, and all these dealers that jump in are going to be like pissed off at Amazon, and there's I just don't know there's integrity in that.
Well, I'm glad, we've said it when we've talked about these things before. I mean, I'm not disappointed that somebody wants to take them on and try to make it better. I think competition is good for everything.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of, I don't have it a lot of high hopes in it being a viable option for most serious hunters. But um,
The My last post was on that FCC stuff, right? And that's what we're joking with. I made that post,
restoke the
which
flames a little bit. Yeah,
yeah, because I don't want to keep beating on it. You know what I mean? Like I really want to just like move on. I got the 4 colors, and don't get me wrong. Part of me, like you jokes, like part of me wants to be petty. You know what I mean? Part of me likes, like I've got more material that I've recorded that I never posted because I'm like, man, I feel like I'm picking on the dumb kid. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like I don't need to keep hammering this product. Everybody knows I don't like it. I've I've said my piece. There's some things that I've looked at and I haven't even talked about, but I did want to explain my piece that was, even if the product did good, even if the product was cheaper, it tracked farther, and the software issues gone there, I still think there's a huge risk with the FCC. Like as a business, I think my risk would be huge. You know what I mean? Like I think I think I would get a call from the FCC if I really started selling them. But and I could be wrong. Could be way wrong.
and that's a huge catch 22, right? Because there's probably not much of a risk right now if there's 4, 5, 20 guys using it. But say that product does
Yeah,
improve
yeah.
immensely and they take a third of the market share or something away, and now all of a sudden there's 300 people out there using it. It's you're just increasing that exposure
I think
to
for
that.
me, I I honestly think, and again, I might be maybe I'm sensitive, but I have had experiences already where other dealers have complained about me or whatever. You know what I mean? Like as W, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking market share from Garmin. I'm talking people would love to see me burn down. You know what I mean? Like there's other dealers that um some of them I get along with, you know what I mean? And we've gotten better, but there's definitely people rooting against me, as W or us or whatever, you know what I mean? And so I wouldn't put past somebody that was like that wasn't selling these to be like, oh, I think
Send
they're
in a
probably
hot tip.
yeah, yeah, be like, oh, W is selling these illegal FCC radios trying to get us to shut down W, not because they want to sell e-cigs, but because they could do something against us. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
I look at that and going, man, like I don't say I got a bunch of enemies, but there's obviously people who are not fans of me. You know what I mean? Like, I just posted a Facebook post and I got people telling me to essentially shut up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you're
Do
talking
some
about.
more
You should shut your
research.
mouth. Yeah, you do some more
Yeah.
research. Shut up. And it's like, dude, I'm just telling you why. You know what I mean? My post that I put on was like, hey, these are my reasons for not wanting to sell these. Do your own research. Like, figure out what's right for you. Like, I'm not telling you. I was using the damn thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting here going like, "Oh my gosh, I'm some goody two shoes that's afraid to turn the device on," because I freaking turned the device on. You know what I mean? Like, I risked the $10,000 fine because I knew the risk was pretty low that I was going to get caught. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to test it, so I did it. But selling it, that's a whole different game. You know what I mean? Like commerce, the FCC is going to look at that and go, you're selling a illegal device. Da, 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 da. I'm going to get away with it for a little while. You know what I mean? Like, in the big scheme of things, well, small potatoes. But I think there are companies, small and big, that might call in a hot tip, as you said. You know what I mean? Like, I just look at that and go, I could see people. Yeah, I'm not the only petty son of a bitch out there. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's some petty sons of bitches out there that just aren't as stupid on Facebook and talk about it as much, but behind the scenes of it, they try to burn my ass down. So I'm like, there's a couple people around there. They got some. I don't want to give them the gasoline. You know what I mean? They got lighters and they know how to turn the lighters on. So, I like, you know what I mean? I just look at that and go, man, it would be foolish for me to like
Yeah.
step into that because, I mean, a $10,000 fine is the minimum fine. That's that's that would be really hard for me to do right now. Like, I can just tell you right now, things are tight. You know what I mean? Like, we're slow months. I don't want a $10,000 fine, and I guarantee you, it's not going to be a $10,000 fine. I mean, it's going to be at least 100,000. If it's commerce, they're not going to hit me with anything less than 100,000 or a couple million. You know what I mean? They're going to make a point about it.
Well, look at some of these diesel shops that have gotten busted for
Mm-hmm.
EPA, tampering with emissions and stuff. It's
Exactly the
not
same
the
thing.
it's not the you and me that got deleted diesel trucks are probably not going to come after. It's the
Right.
it's the guys that have done hundreds of them in their shop.
Yeah, and they're promoting them and they're
Yep.
advertising them and yeah, that's that. I mean, that's a perfect example of what this problem would be. Is yeah, for a while there, it was all cool. Everybody was all awesome. Delete your diesel, get better fuel miles. Like, I still want to delete my diesel. You know what I mean? Like,
I have mine deleted.
edit that out. Beep. The beep's a little late. Sorry, Ross. But, like, makes no sense. And I think they changed some rules on that, but it's the same thing. It's like, hey, it's one thing for a guy to buy the system and use it and whatever. It's a whole nother thing for somebody to sell them and market them. And it's like, well, I- so I think the risk is pretty low for guys getting busted using them. I really do.
Yeah, but that being said, so even if I'm using it and I'm not getting a $10,000 fine, if I bought this device from W and you get busted next week and you're
yeah,
gone, well, I just lost all my support for that device.
yeah, yeah. And
Pretty
where are you going to
much.
get the next one? Like,
And where are you going to get the next one? Where am I going to where am I, when I need
who's
a
going to
couple
stick
more
out their neck to
collars?
get one? Yeah.
Yep.
So now you got
So,
one collar that goes down, and you got a 5-dog system, but you got 6 dogs. Like again, yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. It's like I don't. Everything about this e-seek feels like a short-term fix. You know what I mean? Like, the right way to do this would be for them to start an American company that it doesn't have to be an American company. It could be a China company that has goes through the process to get their product FCC approved. And that would mean they've got to change the frequency. So anybody that's using one now, it will not work I won't say will not, but it probably will not work if my understanding of everything, like this guy's got in my head now. Like, well, but I don't know what he's talking about. Well, I'm pretty sure the FCC is not going to approve 162.25 megahertz to transmit the way these e-seeks are. Like I would
It
wager a
would be
lot
the
of money.
first thing, right?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
other than government use, it would be the first thing that ever got approved at
Yeah.
those frequency level. There's a reason
Like
why when you buy a radio, that shit is blocked out on 'em. Like,
they would have to change the weather radio frequencies for you to be able to do this, I think. Yeah, I think it's right in the weather. So it's like, are they going to go to the National Weather Service and go, hey, all the millions of radios that you transmit on your weather ones, could you guys change those so that we got some China tracker? Probably not going to happen that way, right? I mean, the FCC is not going to approve the device as it is now. Now, I I know that this company can change their frequency, so they could put it in the MERS band, like Garmin, and could probably get it approved. I don't know the hoops they'd have to jump through. You know what I mean? Like, um, lawyers. Like, I don't know that's the part where I'm like, man, it's probably not just a simple request. You know what I mean? There's probably some documents and some time and some whatever, and you know, $100,000, $200,000 in lawyer fees that know the FCC rules and get everything lined up, and maybe they could do it. You know what I mean? Like Laylapse, I think, did it. So like, it's not impossible. You know what I mean? Like I look at it and go, it's it's not impossible. Um, I'm not ambitious enough to do it, but maybe there's a guy that is. You know what I mean? And can jump through those hoops and get it. They'd probably have to get it to MERS band, which is the same as what Garmin is. And then we are on the same issue with range and distance and all that because we're limited to that 2 watts. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know that the benefit for distance would go away. And I know a lot of these guys are touting that it tracks further. And so I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to track further or do you want it to be legal? You know what I mean? And so when you ask that question, they're going to say, well, I want it to be both, and I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know that you get that in this situation. Garmin plays by the rules. So, Garmin could track further. They could bump their power watt up. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I wish like in the CV days, I wish I knew how to increase
jack
the
them up.
watt. Yeah. I have not, like, this is something I thought about, you know what I mean? Like if there was a way for me to like CB, find the RF signal on that and be like, hey, we're going to crank that up to 2.5 watts. Man, illegal. Yes. Would I do it? Yes. You know what I mean? Like CB, it was like the old CB days. I'd, I'd be like, hey, we're going to tune up your, your collar and don't you say a word about it. You know what I mean? But Garmin has to play by the rules. So they have them at 2 watts and on the MERS band. If eSeek put them on 2 watts on the MERS band, they probably could work through some hoops and get approved, and we could have this system versus the Garmin system. It would be cheaper. So if the price point is the issue, that's probably the way to do it. It's probably going to be not as cheap as now because they're not paying a couple $100,000 in legal fees to get the FCC done. But so I just don't know. Like I said, I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's more. It's not as simple as it's just like, yeah, we'll just take it and sell it.
Juice isn't
So
worth the squeeze.
it isn't. It isn't. But it'll be interesting. I think it's short term. I think it's a short term fix. So right now there's just a huge buzz since about December and January. Um, there's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of buzz about it. I'm kind of curious to see what this looks like in a year. You know what I mean?
Where
Like,
it goes.
if it takes off, like if if they start selling hundreds, thousands of them, then then I think at some point the FCC will come in and make a, I mean, whether it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. Like, I don't know how long it takes, right? Like, how long did the DEF fluid issue, I mean, the DEF delete, how long did that take before the government
Quite a
finally
while.
cracked down? I mean, it was a long way. It was quite a while. It was years, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it didn't just happen overnight. So it's like, if I had to predict, it's like, it's not happening next month. Nobody's going to get busted next month. Nobody's going to get busted this year, probably. You know what I mean? It's going to be, it's going to be when this thing is going. You know what I mean? Everything's going. It's like, and all of a sudden, it's going to be like, boom, $1.3 million fine. And it's going to be like, yep, you can talk all the crap you want, but the minute the government shows up and says you got a $1.3 million fine, I don't care how much you're saving or how much you're making on a product.
That ain't just going to roll off your back.
You're not going to just be like, yep, we can pay that and just keep rolling. Like, you're not, you're done. Like, your business is done. Your life is ruined. You know what I mean? Like, goodbye, everything else you've done in business. I don't think you can, I don't know what happens. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to be like, well, I'll shut that business down and start another LLC. I think they're not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you do. You know what I mean? Like,
even if you do, I mean, everything you've just done for the last how many years is gone, and at best you start from scratch.
Yeah. So guys want to try one, get one, try it. I don't think the user is going to be at risk. Now, don't take my word for it. You definitely understand that they could say, if you, and I think if you were using it in an area that interfered with, like, especially towards the coast areas where they have helicopter and rescue missions, I think some of these frequencies get close to that, right? So, like, the Coast Guard frequencies, there's a couple there. If these callers were all just chirping and I could see Coast Guard helicopters going, we're getting some interference on we're getting all these little clicking and chirping sounds on our radio frequencies. I could see that turning into, we're going to go find whoever's doing it, and that person could get fined. Like, I could see a situation where there's interference with an active user and the user doesn't know that he's interfering with a certain frequency, and all of a sudden you got a helicopter above you going, you know what I mean? Like, we found them. You know what I mean? Like, those boys got equipment to do that. You know what I mean? Like, they can chase that. So I could see that being a scenario that potentially could play out. I looked, I mean, I'll be honest, before I was testing my shit, I kind of checked and go, okay, where, luckily Michael's in the Coast Guard. And he's like, yeah, there's over by Astoria or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm far enough away from that my signals are not going to interfere with any Coast Guard. You know what I mean? Like, but I can tell you 100%, I checked before I started using these things around me, because I didn't want the Coast Guard coming in on me and being like, hey, what's the signal? You know what I mean? Like, I can only play so much ignorance. So I was like, yeah, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to interfere with anything. I wouldn't be comfortable running these over towards the coast. You know what I mean? Like, I just wouldn't, for me personally, because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to raise that. So how much time we got, Ross?
I got to bounce.
You got to take off.
I got to take off.
Well, that was good. We finished up our podcast, talked about the drama. I know the following will be hit or miss, because I got to take off. I got a trip, so we'll just hit our next one up when we can.
Sounds good.
We'll talk to you later.
All right, later.